Hi YouTube. I want to leave this unfiltered because I think that this is something that I really want to talk about to everyone involved, not just the community that I am in and the community that I talk to. Granted, it's a small community that I have. Nonetheless, I think that it is something that we should talk about all together. And I'm a person who speaks very tangent-like, so I'm gonna go all over the place. But I want to keep this video unedited because I truly think that this is something that YouTube has a huge issue with, at least currently. And it's something that I don't think is completely their fault. I do think it's something that it is inevitable. However, I do think that we are not in a good place as far as community, because when it comes to the big picture, it doesn't really seem like there is much of community in YouTube as a whole. And I think we've done a great job at splitting everybody up so that everybody is basically a nerd of their own craft, which sounds good on paper, but it also kind of sucks when you don't see people have the freedom to talk about other things for a good amount of time and to share, elements of their work with others. I do think it's awesome that people can mix and match different genres into their work so that their work is unique. However, I'm not really sure if that actually gets other people from other genres to go in and watch their videos. For example, I kind of like the idea of making video game content that features my own music in there in the background without people noticing. And I really like to do that stuff. I really like to. I've done it before in other channels. Other attempts to make channels and projects and at school and whatnot. But as far as I know, the music community, or that's officially what it kind of is now. People who are just into music exclusively, and just kind of have everything else as kind of like a side hobby, will only listen to music related stuff. They'll never be exposed to the music that I make. Stuff like that. And I see content creators making, their own mixtapes, their own albums and whatnot, and it's only like their own channel communities that listen to those things. Like, imagine if they had the exposure of early YouTube, where stuff like that would blow up not just within their community, but with everyone else around. And that's not possible now, because not only are we just so into our own communities, right? So boxed in our own communities. We're just oversaturated with so much content to the point where YouTube is like, listen, we need an algorithm that helps you remind you that these videos exist. And I'm telling you, man, it's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of videos that, when you take the initiative to ask yourself and learn to watch, so many videos that you haven't already seen that are so valuable. And it doesn't even have to be about the thing that YouTube constantly recommends to you. And it's just, how can I explain? There's so many videos on YouTube. And there's so many things that you probably never knew that you're interested in. And yet, if you watch those videos, you'd be pretty dang interested in them, especially after the moment that you finish that video. I recently watched a video about Tourette's syndrome, and it actually came randomly to me. Or was it random? I'm not really sure. The point that I'm trying to make is, right, we've lost that sense of community where everybody from every kind of preference, beauty, film, what have you, can just look at other people's content it'd be like from visiting other different planets and being like, wow, that's pretty dang funny, or that's pretty dang interesting. And that's not really there anymore because everybody's focused in and boxed in their own communities. I have no idea how the beauty community is doing until it's trending on YouTube. I have no idea how the film community is doing. I don't even know what that's even about. I don't know what the whole lifestyle community is on YouTube. Like, I feel like this is something that needs to kind of be not so restricted, because now nobody within their own communities interacts with each other like normal people. Everybody's just nerds of their own thing. That's why everything that I talk about or that I hear in the video game community, for example, sounds so specific And it feels like nobody outside of this community will ever get into what we talk about here. And it feels so lonely, you know? I personally have opinions about video games that many people in the video game community don't have. And I bet you, as a viewer, probably feel that too, that you want to probably express an opinion like that. And it doesn't really seem like anybody in the video game community really agrees with that. Maybe anybody else around the video game community might agree with what you're saying because, we're all normal people and we share similar interests or preferences, but we don't know that if we're all stuck in our own respective communities, boxed in with all of this stuff. And the closest thing that we have to a sense of community that communicates with each other is TikTok. But I think it's safe to say that TikTok is a horrible place right now. I mean, you can call me a wimp for not trying TikTok out and trying to break through over there, but yeah, no, I think it's safe to say that me as a young adult uh, is safe with what I'm working with, honestly, at the moment. I do not want to be the one, for the sake of my own health, for the sake of my own mental health, I'm not going to go into TikTok anytime soon. I can imagine myself breaking down multiple times in a day. I've seen horrible things on there. But that's the kind of the thing. TikTok's kind of the new community app, and people can communicate with each other as the norm now. YouTube used to be that way, but because of how much content we have now, it's kind of impossible to kind of get a system going where we can all relate with each other. Sorry that the camera's shaking so much. My hand's kind of weary. That's the message I want to make clear. We are divided. Hold on. I have to edit this video now. But anyways, that's it. That's really all I got. And it sucks now. I loved old YouTube. I loved old YouTube immensely. I grew up with late 2000s YouTube and early 2010s, and that has never felt better in my eyes, personally. Everybody had free space to talk about things in their own respective communities. It didn't feel so monotonous. And, it felt like people everywhere, in all communities were able to talk about something. And it kind of just feels like everybody's just putting themes on top of stuff, We don't really have many nerdy nummies of the video game community now. And it sucks that we don't have that. Granted, Rosanna Panzina always, it needs to transition, from here and there, and that makes sense. But, we don't really get stuff like that. If anything, everybody tries themes to reference movies and lifestyles, outside of their own communities, but that's all that they are. They're just references. And then they just don't really expose themselves to that anymore. If there was a way, I'm telling you right now, if there was a way that I could probably mix in different communities into one video and mass produce that, where would that get me? How big will the community get in due time? I wonder. That's just what I'm thinking about. But anyways, does it ever feel lonely on here on YouTube anymore? I'm saying this as a creator to a viewer because it feels pretty dang lonely to me. And YouTube is actually kind of one of the strongest communities that I've got, especially in the middle of the pandemic. Many friends are kind of distant at the moment. They're kind of doing their own thing. They're really busy. I could say that I'm really busy too. And it's just kind of hard. Yeah, at a time like this, it's safe to say that the only thing that I can be plauded with without thinking about it is memes and trends that last 3 days. And that's a killer. But that's all I gotta say. All right, broskies. Let me know your thoughts.